Namaste. Namaste. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome to Fireside Chat, e-commerce and digital marketing session 1. I'm Anaza Majid from Nestlé Pakistan, and I will be your host for this session. So just some house rules to follow to ensure a smooth flowing session today. First of all, just keep an eye on the chat box and make sure not to flood it with spam so you can catch important announcements and links on how you can engage us via slido.com. You may see the chat box for the code to join our session. Have your mobile phones on standby to scan the QR code on the slides and see career opportunities in digital marketing, sales, and e-commerce across all the Nestlé markets around the globe. So thank you so much to our panelists, Nico, Yuni, Fatma, for joining us today. So first of all, if all of you can please introduce yourselves and your positions in your respective markets. Starting from you, Nico.
Hi, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever we are. My name is Nico, and I'm from Nestlé Indonesia. I'm currently acting as sports marketing manager for Milo, specifically brand Milo in Indonesia. Been joining Nestlé Indonesia for 8 years, 7 of which I've been exploring with Milo brand. So very excited to share my experience with the brand, especially in regards to digital exploration that we can discuss further. Thank you, Munaza.
So now, Yuni.
Hello, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening all. Thank you for your time, I think. I'm Huini, currently brand manager for KitKat in Indonesia. So it's really a good brand, a fun brand to have a break with you all. So hopefully for today's session, we can share and also gain some insights from all the outstanding speakers, including also our host. Just a sneak peek about myself. So I've started Nestlé as management trainee 6 years ago, and I've been into several kind of brand. And the latest of the assignment, I'm in management. I'm in brand manager for KitKat. So yeah, looking forward to share the session toward this digital marketing and also e-commerce.
And now Fatma.
Thank you, Anaza. And good morning, good evening, good afternoon to everybody who has joined us for this session today. I am really excited to be a part of this. And just to introduce myself, my name is Fatma, and I'm from Nestlé Pakistan, same as Munaza. And I have recently just joined in my new role as a brand manager for Dairy, and I have been a part of Nestlé for the past 7 years. And it's been an exciting journey for me. I've been through a wide variety of roles, and this is my latest one. And I'm very excited to be a part of this, and very hopeful that we'll have a lot of learnings to share from the rest of our participants as well. So yeah, looking forward to it.
Great. Unfortunately, Moranta was not able to join us due to an emergency. So we will have Nico, Yuni, and Fatma joining us today and discussing about their careers, their experience at Nestlé. So starting off with our first question, like how has Nestlé supported your career development in e-commerce and digital marketing? Yuni, if you can please tell us about it.
Okay, so for Nestlé supporting my career, I think first one, because I was joined through the management trainee. So in management training, we are really facilitated to be more into the future leader. So I think we have some like facilitators in terms of how we really jump into the job of the training. So we really did some of the projects, some of the business activities, especially for the digital. And also the second that we also have some session into our line managers, which is we have some frequently in terms of the check-in, so that we know how we perform in terms of the activities that we did, and also how we really perform well, whether it is well or what needs to be improved. It is really a transparent environment coming from our line managers and also the peers, so that they can or able to give us some feedback. So I think being grown up in Nestlé is really quite fun and also quite fulfilling in terms of how it's supported in terms of the career. So they listen to our aspiration, but then we also need to wait for some time because the opportunity not always come on the right time. But then we need to also hone our own skills so that when the opportunity or the aspiration that we want is ready there, we can already go there.
So as Yuni has mentioned that her line managers and mentors had a great role to play basically in building her up. So Nico, how much do you agree to this, and how much do you think this has like she has projected it really nicely that instead, like for digital marketing and for e-commerce, our managers are the one who are guiding us towards this. How is Nestle, you think, supports us?
Sure, I think it's trust. I think it's very important element in building a career, especially from your superior, from your boss. I think, yeah, like Winnie mentioned, I think that is the one key element that I experienced so far, been in my career during Nestle, in Nestle specifically, because obviously during these past 2 years, especially for my role in sports marketing in brand Milo. Milo, I think hopefully most of us know the brand. Milo is a chocolate beverage who is associated very much to sports and sports activity. And most of our activations is mostly on ground. During the COVID, obviously everything has to move to digital. And that is something that not only trusted, but encouraged to explore what are the things that we can do in digital, and specifically how to connect that to e-commerce. I think we did that quite a lot. We did explore many things. We started with doing sports education and training via WhatsApp, a platform in Indonesia which is very common and very usable, because that's actually the number one social media that is used in Indonesia. That's something that we not realize, and that is affecting obviously the development of my career, because by that trust that we can explore more, then after that we can start to gain more first party data, and that can actually open another gate for us to interact with our consumer despite COVID. So especially during COVID, digital marketing specifically is very pivotal in my job for the time being, is to reach our consumer. That something that we usually never do, and turned out after we explore, it's something that open more new opportunities and door for us to connect with our consumer.
Great. And Fatima, you being a brand manager, I think for you, digital marketing has totally changed brands, right? In the last few years, especially if we talk about last like 5 years or so, we have evolved. So what do you have to say about that?
Absolutely. So if I generally talk about my career in Nestlé, so this is actually my first stint as brand manager. Before that, I started off 7 years ago as a business development executive in dairy. I then moved to human resources for some time, and after that, so overall Nestlé has been great in terms of career development, not just in e-commerce and digital marketing, but generally as well. I've been allowed the opportunity to have a wide array of moves in different functions, allowing me to gain the knowledge and experience from so many different functions. So if I talk about this, before this stint also, I was actually a part of the innovation and renovation team in Pakistan, specifically with the juices, coffee and waters business. And if I talk about these businesses that I've worked with, what I've really noticed is, especially in terms of, Nescafe and my own brand that I'm working on right now, also Chill Dairy, they're kind of considered to be success stories when they come to digital marketing, because these brands are relatively smaller brands in Pakistan, but are considered to be the growing brands also of the market. And how we've managed to gain that is, completely flipping the strategy, where we don't just focus on traditional media, such as TV airing, but we focus a lot on digital also right now, which allows us to focus our efforts with a little bit of little amount of money, but allows us to expand our efforts and expand our reach much more than what we normally would. So it's definitely something that's become a huge part of our strategy, for not just for my brand, but for all brands, I would say, of course.
Great. And what are the key skills that you can actually count on on your fingertips? Like, what are key skills that you think that are necessary to grow a career in e-commerce and digital marketing? I think you mentioned quite a few already, but what do you think are some of the 3 to 4 key skills that are necessary?
I think in my opinion, what you really need to do probably is to sort of stay on top of the trends that are happening generally around you. So we actually, especially during COVID, we have a lot of trainings. And again, as a new joiner in this field, as a brand manager, there are so many new things that I actually need to learn, so many terminologies that I need to learn to be able to understand how they impact YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. These are just your mainstream platforms, but there are so many things over there, how you need to push your communication that it reaches the maximum number of people, you generate the most impressions, most views. So there are so many things over here, these skills. So you really need to sort of, expand your horizon, see what other brands are doing also, learn from those activities, not just within our market, but across markets as well. So I think what sort of I would want to say is, at least personally for me, is to be more open in terms of ideas and their execution, see what things are being implemented in other markets and take learnings and use them for our brands as well locally.
Great. I think, Huni, if you can please add on to it.
I also agree with what Fatima already mentioned. Yeah, I think we need to also learn, always learning, not only seeing from what inside the market, but also outside the market. And some more skills that is follow this, of course, you need to also hone your own hard skill, because especially this is digital marketing, and digital is always evolving more and more, especially since this pandemic. There are more tendency, especially our consumers, that is going more and more shifting their habit, and we need to know what is exactly the trend currently going on. So we need to keep learning on this hard skill. And also in Nestlé, there are several departments that we always collaborate, be it like media team, digital team, and even our other parties. We call it like third parties, like our creative agencies, and also some digital agencies that we can ask any of the feedback, any of the suggestion that we might really need in doing on one activity. For example, like what we did in KitKat Indonesia, it is the some of like collaboration within the government, and then we did it also some feedback internally with our media team, which is the best platform to use to amplify this to our consumers, which is the best reach or the best engagement that we can get, especially since KitKat is more into the youth, more into the Gen Z. We really need to understand on our consumers. And in terms of the soft skill, maybe what we can share is more into be collaborative and also be creative. Some of our leaders already mentioned that we are living in the VUCA world, and this is also quite interesting and also both challenging, because commodities already increasing. Some of challenging in terms of our budget itself is also limited. So we need to be creative by doing more with less of the facilitation of, or with less of the investment that we get. So that is how the harmony or the agility, being collaborative with many teams, so that we can gain the best of the best toward our successful of the campaign. So I think that's the key skill.
Uni, yes, you mentioned a very important point, that the consumer demand, consumer need, their preferences are changing. Like digital marketing maybe was not a preference for baby boomers, right? But for millennials and now Generation Z, it's altogether a different ball game. So Nico, what do you think about it? Do you think how relevant it is especially for e-commerce and digital marketing?
Yeah, thank you. I think adding to that, it's very valid point, Munaza, what you just mentioned. I think the approach to digital marketing and the skills that we need to hone to approach digital marketing is something that we really need to grow, because at least in my country, Indonesia, the relevance of TV usually is number one. Our investment in TV commercial always been the topest in the portion of investment that we do. But just this past 4 years, everything changed. The number of investment right now is almost equal, I have to say, because then if you calculate all in all, the activity between in TV, the traditional media to digital is moving. Right now, we are exploring more to digital, and which is very relevant because I think what Huini and Fatima mentioned as well, the way we understand consumer also growing. The way we try to understand consumer right now, you can watch TV, but at the same time, you also watch YouTube on your handphone. So those are the type of understanding that we also need to develop at the same time. And the way we then send our message, understand what message do we want to deliver is also different. So the way we approach and skills do we need to try to have in approach digital marketing is, I believe, is to understand the consumer, understand your brand, because every brand could be very different in terms of delivering their message. And the most important thing is that know which platform could generate better engagement, because in the end, to replace TV is to generate as many awareness to our consumer. If you have to switch to digital marketing, we need to understand then which channel of digital marketing that we need to be able to touch. Could be YouTube, could be Facebook. In some country, maybe TikTok. In some country, maybe I don't know. Snapchat's still relevant. So yeah, all these things is growing and ever changing, and it's exciting, I have to say. Don't you think it's exciting also, Munanza? You're still on mute, sorry.
You're on mute, Munanza.
Oh, sorry. Okay, so like if we talk about what are the key initiatives that, like already we mentioned, like the past 4 or 5 years have been we've evolved a lot from traditional marketing to digital marketing, and e-commerce has evolved with it, of course. So how do you think it has helped to the business to accelerate in recent years? For example, what are the key initiatives that maybe have helped you? So any key initiatives that you would like to mention? Yes, Fatima.
So again, I think in my case, sort of I could consider, again, as I mentioned, Chill Dairy is kind of a success story because it was actually considered to be sort of a declining brand in the past couple of years, back in 2017, 2018, when we were struggling with the brand. But I think some of the key initiatives and some things that are very important, again, as Nico and Winnie have also mentioned, that it's very important to have proper consumer understanding. So when we were struggling with this overall brand, we actually got an entire study done in terms of a UNA. So we got a UNA done where we actually research and delve deep into the consumer habits, what consumers are consuming our product, why are they consuming it, what sort of form of media are they using it. Based on that, we actually developed an entire strategy where we completely changed, we changed our target audience. And again, as these guys also mentioned, it's very important to know who your target audience is. So like, we've just been discussing millennials in our case. We realize that, millennials who are very, conscious about their health. So these are the people who are consuming our product. And again, they're very tech savvy. They're very, digital savvy. So based on that, we actually changed our entire strategy. And again, as Nico mentioned, that TV is obviously a very common form of, advertisement. But at the same time, digital is then what we realized that this is where our, amount of effort and sort of spend and money should be going behind, because that's what our TG is, using. That's what they're consuming. And what it also allows us is to be on air throughout the year with a minimal spend, but be sort of on top of mind for the consumers throughout the year. So this is kind of, I think it's important to, again, understand, what your consumers are doing, how they're doing it, and sort of tap into those specific opportunities in order to ensure, that you're able to help your business accelerate.
So just to mention for the audience, like Chill Dairy that Fatima is talking about, that includes the products for our yogurt in Pakistan. So just to clarify about that. Okay, Huni, what do you think? What do you suggest? What are your key initiatives?
Yeah, I'm also agree with Fatima, because the key, really crucial, is to understand our audience, understand our target consumer, how we evolve toward this. Especially in my case, because KitKat in Indonesia, KitKat is a global brand, but we know that KitKat as a chocolate is really an impulse category. So if we look into the past, during the COVID time, the chocolate category is also quite suffer because people staying at home, and also the university student, they don't go to the university anymore, but they open their laptop and then having the online classes only at their home, and also even at their bed, for example, something like that. So their habit is shifting. Their attention is also quite shifting. They are kind of stressed, but they still need a break. So what is really important, the initiative that we really would like to do, and currently still doing it, that to regain back how on the consumers toward this consumption, and how the activity supporting them, that is really relevant. One of the good cases that we currently doing, I think I've mentioned it before, that we see that currently in Indonesia, because this COVID situation, our tourism places is also quite decreasing a lot. So when we see that our government is also quite decreasing in terms of the interest of consumer interest of going outside because of this COVID situation, and then we see that KitKat is really relevant for the healing, for the tourism, and so on. So we see this brand relevancy in terms of communication and our target consumer, and also related to our government. So we collaborate, and this collaborate surprisingly really bring back the interest coming from the Gen Z. They really like to design. They really would like to have some healing in terms of some of the scoops, so that when we see that this is currently really bringing back the momentum of how the Gen Z going back to this COVID, and also cope back with this COVID situation. So yeah, I think that's the initiative in KitKat Indonesia.
Okay, so moving on to our next part, Nico, what do you think are your digital, how do you think that digital extraction has changed the nature of e-commerce and digital marketing operations? And what are the benefits? I think we've covered some of it. What do you think are the benefits of it?
Obviously, the benefit of it is that we can communicate to our consumer anytime, anywhere. That is the most important part, right? So, for example, previously, before e-commerce, before digital activity, whenever consumer wants to buy a product, it has to depends on when the store is open or not. Right now, whenever they are in 12 a.m. before they sleep, they can browse your product. They can see your advertisement, and then they swipe up, and then they go to the e-commerce, and then they look at your product. Oh, it's a good deal. Oh, there's this premium. Oh, there's this good offer, and then they buy. Probably Huini in the KitKat knows that better because it's an impulse product, and also chilled dairy probably. But those are some of the acceleration that obviously helpful for the brand. How right now is cross-border, cross-time, and everything right now is very easy, snap of a finger. But obviously at the same time, it's not, we as a brand builder, I believe we need to also establish an understanding that the baseline, the things that we need to also be able to creating in the digital marketing specifically have. For example, before the consumer knows our presence in digital, we need to build the base. We need to make sure in every digital e-commerce platform we exist, making sure that our product is having a good presence, making sure that we have actually an investment within the digital platform. So make sure we have a good website for the people to look at our and understand our product. Not to mention there is also another SEM and SEO that needs to be built up. So it's actually a lot of work. But in a simple term, in the end, if you know your consumer can interact with your product anytime, anywhere, it's something that the fruit that we take from the acceleration of this e-commerce and digital marketing operations, I believe.
Thank you, Nico, for explaining this in so much detail. I think you've covered the most of part of it. So let us move to the next question. Like, I think that is most of the people are interested in it. So what is the advice that you three would give to anyone who wants to grow a career in e-commerce and digital marketing in Nestlé? So yes, Fatima.
I think, in my opinion, we do obviously have specific experts for digital marketing. There are people who are there in the field. I think, like I mentioned, you need to be sort of open to your surroundings and understand what other people are doing also, to make sure that you're able to capitalize on the trends as they come. But also, another thing is also, like, one of my colleagues who I also sort of consider to be like, she's an expert in this field, I would say, in terms of digital marketing. And I think the reason that she has that edge also is obviously she's a very hard worker. But at the same time, she actually, before joining Nestle, she was actually a part of a digital agency. So I think that's what has really given her the edge, and when she's, become part of Nestle, she's really been able to capitalize on that trend and, bring in learnings that we didn't have. And now I'm actually, learning a lot from her also. So I think you should really see around as well, your colleagues who you feel are experts in this field. I would probably, in my opinion, since I'm again a new joiner or a new beginner in this field myself, I would actually prefer to go to someone like her, or go to someone who's an expert, in the field.
Okay, great. And Huni, what is your advice?
Yeah, I think I catch a good also learnings coming from Fatima, because I think, yeah, learning from our colleague, being open-minded to our colleague is also a really good insight, a really good learnings in terms of how we grow on our digital or even e-commerce, because we somehow not really know everything. Yeah. So what I think to be the suggestion also to every one of you who is attending this, we call it like somehow like webinar, but then this is really some personal opinion from my side, is that first, we cannot deny the hard skill that we need to learn. So especially for the digital marketing, there are a lot of things that we need to learn. And very agree with Fatima, we need to learn also from our peers. We need to, if we do not find it from our peers, we can have some webinar session or training session, somehow like what Nestle have been done through this next level. I think we can learn a lot, especially with the upcoming two days that we have so many outstanding speakers to learn more about this digital and also e-commerce. And also in terms of our mindset, what we really need to understand is that we really need to be agile, because each of the situation is also different, and also each of the business is also different. So we really need to be agile on what the dynamic of this current situation, how to cope with the COVID, and how to really regain after this post-COVID or any other hurdles that is upcoming in front of us. The second is also we really need to still be collaborative with many of our partners, because in Nestle, especially in Nestle, we cannot work alone. There are many other departments that we really hand in hand together, so that we can really have a successful activation. Even if especially is digital, we even have our third party, we call it like that, because it's even outside the Nestle. And then the last thing is also we really need to still be analytical, because in terms of digital, we really need to know which one of the, like Kaniko said already, which one is that the platform that is really effective, which one that is keeping on giving some impactful we call it like, yeah, keep some of the KPI that is really impactful to our business again. So I think
Thank you,
that's
Huni. So I think it's time for us to move to the question answer session. Nico, first of all, Nico, I think most of us have also asked us questions related to the important key skills for a digital marketer to have, and what are the basic skills needed to be a successful digital marketing, as Lucky has asked. So, Nico, can you please brief on that?
Yeah, to the key skills, I believe it's very hard to mention one because actually digital is, even I think all of us still try to figure out what is the best strategy to approach digital, right? And because it's even different from one country to another, it's very different from even one section of your country to another. But the key skills, I think it's to be open, because and be aware of the digital world itself, because in the end, when you try to understand your consumer, you are also is a consumer. So we can start actually by ourselves, the way we consume digital. How are we looking at our content? Which content do you prefer? And that sort of give you a clue as well. You need to develop your sensitivity. Which content do I want to watch? Which content do I not? And that sort of try to align that with your brand, to have the sensitivity between content and the sensitivity of what is your brand purpose and personality is also something that you need to build, I believe, because in the end, there's a lot of exploration that you need to build, obviously, when it comes to mastering digital. And obviously the platform like what we are currently having right now is a platform that is very beneficial for all of us to share and gain more insights about digital, I believe.
So next question is for Huni. Huni, you've joined, as you mentioned before, you've joined Nestle as an MT. So what advice can you give to someone who plans to join Nestle as an MT?
Okay, maybe just a short one. I think you really need to understand which stream that you really want to be enrolled in or applied for. And the second thing is that you really need also to learn toward how collaboration with others, how to be responsible and never give up, because challenge will be there, and the pressure of being an MT is also quite high. If you can, then meaning that you already master some of the plan in there. But the second thing is also being into the never give up or persistency is really important, because that's really will be the one that is keeping you up. Again, it's depend on your passion or depend on your the streams that you would like to enroll in.
Thank you, Huni. So the next question, Fatma, if you can answer that for me, what does Nestle actually want to see in its employees or any new candidate joining them, whether in your local or global market? So what do you suggest, Fatma? What do you think?
So I think I think as Jenny also mentioned, I think what's really important is to sort of be obviously hardworking, but at the same time, you sort of need to, make sure that you're sort of on top of your trends and that you're willing to dig deep into whichever work that you're doing. You have to make sure that, it shouldn't just be surface level. You have to make sure. So for example, in my case, if I talk about it, again, I started off at as I mentioned, as a business support role. And it wasn't exactly something very, you could say, technical at the time, but you have to sort of also try to go beyond what is expected of you in that role to show that you are willing to make an extra effort. And at the same time, I think I would also suggest that if other opportunities arise, I think you should take them, like new opportunities that are coming your way. You should be open to them and you should be willing to take them heads on. You shouldn't be very sort of stuck, I would say, in a box that, okay, if this is what I want to do, that's the only field I'm willing to go. Because I think, in my opinion, if I talk about myself, I do have cross-functional experience before I've now come to this role. And I do believe that that is something that is helping me in my current role as well, because it's given me an understanding of the entire value chain at the back. So not necessarily, obviously it's very good to be sort of a specialist in one role, but if you are getting other opportunities, you should definitely use them as well to, dig as much, deep as possible. And at the same time, I think Nico mentioned earlier, trust is very important. You have to make sure that people are willing to, trust you. You don't necessarily have to be, older than people to sort of, get work done. You can be respectful, but at the same time assertive also. So, and you can only do that as long as you know what you're talking about and the work that you've done. You were able to dig deep into it so that if somebody questions you or somebody comes back to you with something, you're kind of on top of your game. So I would probably say that, take whatever opportunity that you get, you should take it heads on and be willing to sort of, be open towards opportunities.
Yeah, Fatma, you have mentioned some very important key points that Nestle is not only just for the experienced, but you can come here, you can experience things yourself by showing dedication, by being trustworthy, and by working hard. So, Nico, we have another question. If you can please answer it for me. That is it advisable to employ someone to be managing your digital marketing platforms, like Uni has mentioned time and again about third party? So what do you suggest? Is it advisable in your opinion?
Sorry, if I can rephrase the question, is it okay for us to have
employ a third party to manage your digital marketing platforms?
Okay. Yeah, essentially, when you work in a company, there will be a lot of collaboration, like what Queenie keep on mentioning, right? And especially in growing a brand, you are not only, we, at least in Nestle, we're not only brand managers, but there are also another third parties like agencies, and they are actually the also helping us in developing our digital, not only our approach to communication, but also our approach in digital communication. So when it comes to employing third party into manage, probably it's not manage, but more like co-piloting our digital approach. I would say more like a collaboration approach. So it's not like we give a full authority, but more to how do we collaborate to approach our digital communication too. So to answer whether or not do we need third party, yes, to a certain extent. And can we deploy them to manage our social media? To some extent, yes. But do we need to have boundaries and also agreement in some sort in terms of the way we communicate? Obviously, there is another thing that we need to agree on. Yep, I hope that answers.
Oh, yeah, thank you, Nico. And someone has asked the question that I have taken marketing digital courses twice, but it is still hard for me to enter e-commerce industry because they need candidate with digital experiences. So if I answer this to myself, if I myself answer this, I will suggest you that it is very good to have knowledge related to digital marketing, but it is not necessary, like Fatma has already mentioned as well, it is not necessary to have digital experiences in order to enter e-commerce industry. Like Fatma herself is a brand manager, but she is coming from a business development background. Similarly, her colleague, who is also a brand manager, she has digital experiences as well. Of course, digital experience has helped her, has given her an edge. She knows more about digital marketing and what is actually the inside story of it, but that is, of course, not the end of it. So that is all for our sessions today. For our session today, thank you so much, Yuni, Nico, and Fatima, for being a part of it, for sharing for insightful sharing, and a huge thank you to everyone who's attending the session. We hope you have enjoyed hearing from our industry experts and feel inspired by their sharing. Digital exploration, of course, plays a very big role in marketing and sales, and there are always endless opportunities to look forward to in rising trends and platforms, as well as rising e-commerce channels and sales strategies. So don't forget to catch the next session by Tina Buchler as she talks about what is the role of media communication and driving sustainability, to understand brand building and role of advertising today and in the future, as well as what we do at Nestlé to leverage today's opportunities and to be ready in the near future. This one you don't want to miss, so make sure to go and click on the links on the chat to go directly to the next session, or you may also go back to the agenda page and join the session from there. Don't panic if you've missed any of our next level sessions, because the recordings will be up soon for your personal recapping. Feel free to share your thoughts about today's next level session and tag us in LinkedIn with hashtag NextLevel2022. Have a great day, everyone, and see you in the next session. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Munaza.
Thank you.
Thank you, Munaza.
Thank you, everyone.